Okay, so hello everyone that's in here. Hello everyone that is joining after the fact. Um, my intention with this was, I don't know, maybe for at least for the last year, I think I wanted to start doing streams maybe once a season. Once a month almost seems too much for me to do. Once a season, every 3 months, something like that sounds good. It gives me an opportunity to do something different than what I do with the videos. The content I make is very specific, concise on specific subjects, rope patterns, biomechanical things. Whereas here, it's kind of an open forum. It allows me and you guys to just discuss anything that we want to talk about, relative to fitness, biomechanics, but even just anything in the world as well. I have a lot of uh, perspectives on things I like to share, and I don't really get much of a platform to share it because I don't create my. I don't do it. I don't take these steps, and so today was me taking this step to actually start to talk about some stuff and share some stuff. Um, and the technical difficulties are the reason, the blocks that stop you doing this stuff, right? So I had to push through that. But we're here. The audio's supposedly good. I don't even know that it's if a talk here is that louder than here because I don't even know that the right mic is coming from. But I just know that at least you guys can hear me. Um, sound all good, yeah? This time. For those that are watching afterwards, I tried to do this before and I talked for 5 minutes and the audio was off and I had to reset the whole stream. Nice one. Cool. So topics I was thinking of talking about today were YouTube fitness influencers. Sound all good. Thanks, Darren. Other YouTube fitness influencers, people that I watch on YouTube, people that I like, that I respect their opinion of, people that maybe I don't like so much that have followings, although it's mostly, I don't know, it's people that I like come to mind. And I'd love to hear your guys' perspective, who else you guys watch. Um, if you watch any of the same people. I could talk a bit about rope flow, the rise of rope flow. It seems like there's really is a growth in it right now at this point. Um, Going through a growth period. Lots of different people talking about it. Um, the Lunchley stuff with KSI, Logan Paul. I don't know, that stuff kind of interests. Maybe not the best part of me, but there's a side of me that's definitely curious about watching these influencers grow and just use their platform for not purely for greed and selfish gain without consideration of the bigger picture, and they can justify it to themselves however they want. But it's an issue. Um, Spending time with Weck recently, happy to talk about that, answer any questions people have. He's just had his hip surgery recently. Seems like he's recovering incredibly well. For those that follow him on Instagram would have seen it as well. I know the Olympics is a bit in the past now, but that's why I maybe need to do these more often, and they can talk about stuff that's relevant to sports and biomechanics as it happens. But that 100-meter final was amazing. But sport, just when you talk about sport a week later, it just feels like it's so in the past. It's not relevant. um, yeah, anything. It's definitely changed boxing for worse with YouTube boxers. Has it? Is that what you feel? Yeah, yeah. I could see that. It's kind of made a gimmick out and spectacle out of the whole thing, right? Um, yeah, it's interesting just to see what like things appear with the power of YouTube and that whole boxing influencers thing just emerge, right? And it's yeah, psychoanalyzing that is quite an interesting thing. Like generally, a lot of martial artists and boxers at the highest level have like a lot of anger at their own fathers, right? That's a I think that's a pretty standard thing. And it's just interesting to see these influencers who are people not too dissimilar from myself. I enjoy watching martial arts. I definitely have some anger in that field and crave adoration from people and wanting people to follow and listen to me and value me and stuff like that. And I think these influencers have that to quite an extreme level, and just another way they can be seen as respected or admired, um, by fighting each other. It like just ticks a lot of addiction boxes, masking a lot of different pain points in their souls, right? Um, yeah, I guess I'll just start with a few fitness channels that I watch that I like, and then we'll just see how it goes from there. But definitely feel free to chat in the chat. I'll read your comments, read the questions as they come. and we'll just go with an experiment for today. So who do I start off as a guy? Who do I start off with? Maybe Bioneer, as he's probably quite similar to me. Um, Bioneer Adam. I've watched his channel for a couple years now. I don't watch every video, but I've definitely gone through periods when I like binge a load of his stuff and then have breaks. Um, and I like the guy. He puts a real like quite a fun and analytical mind towards some of the fringe practices and helps make it a bit more mainstream and brings a bit more helps put logic to some of the stuff that he shares. It's funny how often he'll share something like I was in a really big Max 6 phase. Some of you know on this channel might have seen the Max 6 videos that I posted in the past. And then like he just posted a video on Max 6 that like the same week at like the height of my Max 6 obsession. He posted a video on YouTube about Max 6 and like just something in the collective with that. I see Ido Portal often will post something and it'll just be like the same thing I'm exploring at that time as well. Just some weird collective biomechanical oversoul sharing going off on the earth at the same time or something that happens. Like he'll be doing kettlebells when I'm doing kettlebells and just things like that kind of happen. I had a bit of a email interaction with him because I wanted to. Well, actually, I just wanted to attempt to sponsor his channel. I've not done much sponsoring, and I'd rather sponsor people that I'm aligned with. And so I did my first ever sponsorship for Strength Side. Just put a rope flow advert on his YouTube a few months ago. But I reached out to Adam from Bioneer to do it, and he was like, "Oh, you don't have to do that. Let's just make a video together. You could show me the ropes, like in a pun kind of way." And I was like, "Cool, like let's try and arrange it up." And then he just didn't. He didn't reply to my next email. And I'm not normally one to follow up, but I thought maybe something's happened. And I emailed him 2 more times over the space of about 3 or 4, 5 months, and just no reply. And don't know if he just got so busy, just not a priority for him, not interested in rope flow for his audience or whatever. Or I don't. I also there was also saw a video he made that was like about Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson and these kind of folks. And whilst I fully agree pretty much with most of his take on Andrew Tate, I think people often pigeonhole them both in together, and I don't think Jordan Peterson is anything like Andrew Tate at all. And I think he kind of did that. And I think it was around the time I posted a reel where I used Jordan Peterson. I'm not saying I agree with like loads of Jordan Peterson, but I don't think he's anywhere near as dark as Andrew Tate is. And it was just a soundbite of of Jordan Peterson talking about the correlation between grip strength, and it was with Peter Attia, who I actually quite like Peter Attia as well. And I used it with some grip training video, and that kind of blew up. And I don't know if he just saw that I used Jordan Peterson and was like, I can't associate with this guy or something like that. That was like, you know, when you have like the fear take on what had happened, and maybe it's completely nothing to do with that at all. But that was like, not that it's a fear, but it's just like the kind of potential negative kind of take. That was my feeling that. But yeah, other than that, generally overall, I do think Adam makes great content. Puts a lot of thought into it, scripts everything, shoots it quite nicely. Yeah, bit of a darker grade than I like, but everyone's got their own taste. And I do think there's things with where something like rope flow could help him become more athletic, because I don't think he actually looks like he moves that athletically. Like he's big and strong and bilaterally looks very strong, and he talks about rotational training and stuff like that, but he still looks quite stiff and doesn't move very athletically. And I do think things like rope and pulses could be really beneficial to him. And it's something new for him to share with his audience. I think it could be cool. Maybe I should try reaching out again, but I don't know if he's just maybe not. I'll just leave it with him now. I'll just share the stuff on my channel. So yeah, Bioneer, another one I like. Original Strength, Tim Olsen is his name. Talks a lot about working on the floor, child positions, a lot of Feldenkrais inspired stuff. I think he has. He talks a lot about the neck, and actually, like, obviously, it talks about the fascia and how the neck's a big part of it, and we don't really stretch. So just moving our neck, we can get into a position, and just moving the neck while we're in the position stimulates like the whole network of fascia from head to toe. So it's like just getting to a position and moving the neck, like even if you're stretching your glutes or something, you can move the neck and still stimulate it. And he looks like he's got a really healthy. These when you look at someone who clearly practices what they preach and they clearly express what they talk about. And he's someone who does move well, looks very limber and strong at the same time. So when you're looking for teachers on YouTube that are like that, I'd definitely recommend checking out Original Strength if you don't know him already. Another guy, Red Delta Project. What's his name? I don't remember his name. Might be Mike, but I'm not sure. Doesn't seem like a Mike. I don't know. But he's another guy who seems to be talking about similar stuff at the same time as me. He made it. Actually, I discovered his channel through searching for Maxic content, and he made a really good video on Maxic and mind muscle connection. And he just has some really good logical, intellectual ways of explaining mind muscle connection and how you cannot access a muscle that your mind doesn't have a neural pathway to. So that training mind muscle connection can then build that pathway, and then you can access it under stress. Often we try and just put ourselves under stress and expect our muscles to have that access. And if we've not developed that at some point in our life, then you can't access it. You can't utilize it. So one thing I don't know at all for certain. I just suspect sometimes why one of the reasons people have very different builds and some people just can't build muscle is I feel like if they've got no mind muscle connection, that's the thing they should focus on first, and then the muscle might come after that. But if they just focus on trying to overload the body without any mind muscle connection development, I think that really can inhibit the capacity to develop muscle. And I've never heard anyone say that, but I feel like there's some logic to that potentially, or something worth exploring. Because that leads me to another guy, Jeff Nippard, is a guy who's talked about mind muscle connection. He's a very mainstream bodybuilding influencer, but goes really into the sports science. And I say this like each of these guys has a science approach to to stuff, and it's not that like he probably has the most scientific approach to any of it. Good old Jeff, but he's really into bodybuilding, and so it's just interesting for me on the periphery. I've never been a bodybuilder or into it myself, but it's a way of training the body, though it's very specific for muscles and hypertrophy, growing the muscles to be bigger sizes, which can be a loving endeavor if you want to explore and create something with the body. But I think for the most part, the motivations, this is one of the big topics for me, is like when I'm training, what is my motivation? And if it is to feed to avoid pain, right? So say someone feels insecure and them posting on Instagram, them looking big, like they've got big muscles, feeling like they get approval from other people for that, and that makes them feel avoiding the pain that's inside the insecurity, right? So it's like looking at the motivation. I don't see very little bodybuilders who, I don't know if I know anyone, to be honest. Jeff probably seems like the one of the least bodybuilders that does it for ego that I've ever seen. Actually, he seems like he does it for the exploration and the science of it, like out of everyone I've seen. But I think most of them do it to avoid pain and feeling small or feeling weak emotionally inside. They feel like a weak person, and they think that creating this physical armor on them is going to make them feel strong. But of course, there's never any end to what they're chasing, and there's no satisfaction. I don't know any one bodybuilder who's ever gone, right, I'm there now, I'm good, I don't need to do this anymore. Like, oh, I'll just maintain where I'm at. Like, doesn't really happen, right? So there's this never ending chase that happens with them. But of all of that crowd, I really like, and Jeff is fully natural, and he's not a lying fully natural. I actually fully believe he's fully natural. From his character, he just doesn't seem like that guy, and he's proves it really well. So any other influences I'll mention? Give a big shout out to my brother Josh, Strength Side. He just moved from California to Austin. Gonna have to visit him out there, but he just really always liked his humble approach, chooses a subject, shoots it really cleanly, explains it, breaks it down, offers solutions, offers workouts. Yeah, another really good guy in the community. James Smith is someone I watched. Quite an interesting cat, British guy, moved to Australia. Talks a lot about we used to talk about how to become a personal trainer and do it well and make a business out of it. He's very honest about drug use and stuff, and does really good kind of breakdowns of things like Prime and other things that claim to be healthy that aren't. He has pretty good takes on stuff like that. He has a bit of harsh edge to him, which seems like he's probably was worse in the past, but he's softened a bit now and he's more self-reflective, I think, than he probably used to be. So I quite like anyone that can self-reflect, even if they're a bit of a cunt. Like I don't mind them, you know. You can if they own it a bit, it's all right, you know. If they admit it and can recognize it in themselves. Who else? K Bogues is a really good one for calisthenics stuff. K Bogues, Kbogez. What I like about K Bogues, shoots so simply, like one take visual of him just doing like 30 reps of air squats or pull-ups or something like that, and there'll be a little talking head of him scripted in the corner, talking for about 3 minutes, 4 minute videos each one on a subject that he's scripted. And so you feel like he's with you, talking to you. You get to see him moving, looking like a healthy individual, moving well on his philosophy. And he's nailed it. Me and Josh introduced me to him actually, and we both sort of talked about how he's nailed the like ability to make minimal YouTube content well. And all the comments seem to reflect that as well. So he's another guy. If you're into calisthenics or want to watch a nice, chilled guy, you can just hear about movement philosophy, 3-4 minute video. Definitely recommend K Bogues. Who else we got on the list? Garage Gym Reviews is quite good. I watched a couple of videos of his recently. He went to Juji Mufu's garage gym. That's interesting. Or he went to the Alico facility in Sweden. I watched his kettlebell review recently. I've been looking at those pro kettlebells. You know, the ones with the groove cut out for your wrists, so that it's smooth on the wrist. They look, yeah, definitely tempted to up my kettlebell collection. Get one of them. But yeah, garage gym reviews. Who else? Ben Patrick obviously went through a phase with him. Leber Stark, kettlebell guy on YouTube, gone through phases, watching his stuff. Interesting to hear his takes sometimes on stuff. Like, not the biggest fan of his stuff, but yeah, overall, I think he puts in a good grind, and he serves the kettlebell world a lot for sure. And I'm definitely on the fringe of that kettlebell world. That was just a few. I thought I'd talk about some people that I like on YouTube. Anyone else? Any other myths that you guys watch, or any opinions on those that I've shared? Read the comments. New Boa is a beast, giving me a great workout so far. Bigger rope than expected. Yeah, almost went for 20 mil, but I thought if I'm going to do it big and call it big and heavy, it has to be big and heavy. 24 millimeter, 1 inch thick. I'm still working on underhand sneak. Thanks for watching Game Changer right now. Is your channel. Justin, have you noticed any changes in breathing patterns since your rope training? I haven't directly, but what you can do is you can play with breathing patterns synced with you when you're doing, like, when you're running or doing the underhand or even dragon roll, right? And you're opening one lung and kind of closing the other lung. I was going to say collapsing. I don't know if it's fully collapsing really, but you're opening and closing. You can kind of sync it. I did remember years ago when I went to reading someone's blog post on, like, they ran a marathon since getting into WEC method and doing the underhand, and they said they felt their endurance improving, and they thought one of the reasons was to do with the way the lungs operate when you're doing that spinal engine pattern. So I don't fully know. I haven't specifically noticed any like unconscious changes from training it consciously, but I've just explored a bit. What have you experienced, Justin? Is it something you've noticed? Hey Connor, thanks for listing the ones that I mentioned there. That's helpful. Yeah, those are the ones that I mentioned. Did you know them? Many of them? Rose said, I agree with you, the muscle connection. You see it when a toddler starts to walk, those connections getting stronger over time. Yeah. And what are they doing? Toddlers learn its back, and it looks like it's doing like random weird movements, but there's something going on. There's some development happening in those weird movements, right? And then they're on the floor, trying to crawl, gripping with their hip, gripping with their toe, firing the muscles, learning that the mind muscle connection is developed. And it's like, how far can you develop that? And so would definitely recommend, if you haven't done it, like, I'm so grateful for the stint I did on Maxix. Definitely one of my favorite discoveries of the past few years. AP, thanks for joining me, man. Are there any vitamins, nutrients, minerals that you have been really working for you that you find have been really working for your body? No. I've explored so much, man, but ultimately, like, I really just like salt is the best supplement. Salt and fruit, right? That's your electrolytes drink, which is just sugar, salt, and water, right? Potassium, whatever, magnesium. I don't know. I don't know. I feel the biggest factor on me day to day is my emotions, like what mood I'm in, like what I'm avoiding, what I'm allowing, like what I'm in denial of. Like that affects me so much more than any like supplement or anything. I eat mostly whole food. I eat organic vegetables, a variety of colors. Not always, but as much as possible. I eat spelt pasta. I don't avoid gluten massively. Spelt has like a bit of gluten, but it doesn't affect me like gluten. Like if I eat a ton of gluten, that affects me. Um, sugar, sugar is like culprit numero uno, man. Like I still have it occasionally. The day after I have sugar, the come down or the cravings the next evening. Like if I'm like on road, I might have a sugar exit allowance, right? And like every day I have a bit of sugar, and then I get home and like the next day evening when I've not had sugar for the day is like the cravings, and it takes like by the third day I'm out of it. But I want to go to the corner shop and buy something with sugar in it. You let me tell you that sugar, and it makes me tighter and my joints feel tighter. Like I'll get a niggle here and there. The mic sounds like it's not properly. Oh come on, man! Sound is patchy. Has it just happened? You know, the thing with this is, how is that if I talk here? How is that? Is that any better? Testing, testing. You cannot like change the source. Someone said good. Someone said a bit choppy. Like I don't know if it's coming from like here. I think it should be coming from here.